So hello, what I have here is a Bally 1952 Frolics Bingo pinball machine. This was a machine that I found on Craigslist. Very cheap price. This particular machine, if you look here, is a 6-card machine, and what that means is you have 6 playing cards on the back box, and you're trying to get a bingo, and a bingo is going to be either 3 across in the X, or 4, or diagonally, or up and down, or straight across, or up or down. You can get bingos by doing 3 across, 4 across, 5 across, or 3, 4, 5, or 3, 4, 5. There are basically 3 features, I would say, on this pinball machine. The first thing is what's called a super score. The second thing I think extra balls are called features. And then the third thing is highest super scores next game, and I'll explain what that means. The super scores, and if you understand how bingo pinball machines work, and I'm going to turn the machine on. And how bingo pinball machines work is when you press the start button, you start a random effect as far as what your features are. I'm going to shut the door so we can get this going. Now, whenever you put a coin in, what happens is the machine will give you the first card, and then it spits out balls. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to simulate putting a coin in by pushing this red button. I put this red button in to simulate a coin mech. Now, if you look at what happens, when I hit that, all of a sudden you saw all those lights flashing in that. What the lights were doing was randomizing what exactly cards were going to be selected, also which features were selected, including the highest super score next game. If you notice here, this card, super score, is not lit on this card. If we put in another coin, which we will simulate, we'll see it hunts all over the place. And let's see, we do. We have a super score right here. Now, when you get a super score, what happens is your scores, which normally without a super score would be 3 credits for 3, 16 credits for 4, and 50 for 5, they go into the super score mode. Now, super score mode is these dancing girls right here, or these models right here. If you get a 3 across on a super scored card, for instance, instead of 3 payout, you get 6 payout, 36 payout, or 75. It's easier to see here. 100, 8 for 3, 48 for 4, 100 for 5. That's if you get a super score on one of the cards. But if you look here, the only card selected is first and second. Even though this card says super score, it's not in play at all. So what we'll need to do is put in quarters or simulate quarters, and watch how it randomizes. Okay, so now the third card lit, fourth card lit, fifth card will light, and also we're going to have the 6th card light. So now all 6 of these cards are lit. Okay, the way the randomizing can work, if you press even put 1 quarter in, you could have 1 or 2 cards. Okay, and if you put another quarter in, it could be 3, 4, 5. It's random how many cards it selects, but it will always select in sequence. Now that this super score is lit, I can do different scoring functions here. If I get 3 across, I will get 6. And if you look here, there's 6. If I get 4 across, it's 36. It's kind of hard to see because the bulb went on my camera. And then if I get 5 across, it's 75. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simulate that win right here. And I'm going to create a 3 across. And we're going to go 19, 3, 21. So 19. Now I want you to listen to something. 19. Hear that? When you hit a ball goes in a hole. If you take a look at these sequence of relays right here, what they start doing is closing when it hits for each ball that's in. And when the right sequence of relays are closed at the same time, this search disk will stop searching and a credit will be given to the machine. So now you just hear that little chatter right there. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to put in ball 3, and ball 21. So 3. And we're going to put in ball 21. Now you hear more chatter, right? So we're going to put in ball number 21. Now watch what starts to happen. If you look at the score, you should get 6 credits, but my credit reel isn't working very well. See how that worked? Only 4 came. So now we're going to put in a 17, like that, instead of a 5, because I want to show you what happens. So here's what happens. As we're working on the super score, this one happened to go across. You get credits for this one. Even though I was going for super score, these other cards will also pay out too. So now I'm going to go for the 5. And I'm going to show you what happens to the search disk when it gives credits. Ready? Score. Now if you notice, the search disk stops because the search disk is allowing the credits to flow through. And we're just popping credits. And you're going to pop some more most likely here. It's not done yet. So it's going to go up to 75 credits, which once again, my credit reel is very loose, so it's not going to be exacting. So now let me tell you why that was so high. Not only did I get this super score, but I also got the 50 across super score if I'm reading this correctly, or something to that effect. I'm still trying to figure out exactly how it pays out. Okay, so that's kind of how the super score works. Now, this highest super score next game, I will show you an example what that means in a moment. So now what I was able to do, I kept putting quarters in until the random function kept in, and I got this feature. It's called highest super score next game. So what we're going to do is I'm going to just throw 5 balls on the playfield, okay? And I'm going to simulate what goes on here. I'm going to make everyone go in except for one. Okay, so I'm going to keep this one. And I'll close this one here. So how this works is, when that feature is lit, highest super scores next game, this rollover will light up. Now I'm going to simulate rolling it over. Now notice that yellow is not lit, and I'm going to roll over it. Now notice that's lit. So here's what that does. When you start your next game, it automatically starts with the highest super score available, and I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Now watch closely. I'm going to start my next game. And there you go. When you roll over the yellow, which would be here, or the red, it automatically starts with your next game will have that super score. Now when you have that, it really would behoove you to put a lot of credits in to get some cards lit up as super scores, and I would say all 6 because that's a huge win. Another thing that happens too is that after you play your 5 balls, you can hit the yellow button, which is right here. And when you hit the yellow button, when you hit the yellow button, that can add extra balls, which is also a very random feature. And I'm still, that's the last thing I'm trying to get fixed on this machine. So here's something interesting to tell you if you don't know anything about machines here. This little unit here, and I think it's called a numerator, a denumerator. I'm really sorry. I had the name and I keep slipping on it. This thing changes the ability for you to get better odds and better scores. Now let me tell you what happens. When you put quarters in, that little funky unit in the back actually will either loosen up or tighten up the ability for you to get all these awesome super score cards. Like for instance, if it's very loose, let's say for instance nobody's won for a long time, people put quarters in, that particular piece of gear will make it so that it's easier to get in these the super scores racked up higher, and also your cards lit up higher, and also these little rollers light up higher. If you make a big win, that same mechanism will tighten up the machine. So in other words, it will make it more and more difficult for you to get these higher super scores, because that's the sole function of the machine, which is kind of really interesting. it's been said that for the longest time, the schematics related to this machine were kind of a secret. But if you look at some websites like cdyn.com, and also I think he has some schematics regarding that. So I just wanted to introduce you to Frolics. This is my very first bingo. I own 9 other pinballs, 8 EMs, 1 solid state, and I'm hooked on bingos. If you've never done a bingo, I would highly encourage you to consider a bingo. This one is a great one to start because it's not too complicated. It's pretty straightforward. You know, you basically want to get the balls across and you want to make a bingo. Any questions, don't be afraid to post on YouTube, and I appreciate your time and have a great day. I kind of felt it was important to end my video with some kudos to, first of all, Jeffrey Lawton. His awesome book, the Bingo Pinball Machines book, the Bally book that he wrote is amazing. It teaches you about bingo pinball machines more than you'll ever want to know. And also the CDYN website that is all about bingos, machines, and also Nick Baldrich of the EM pinball podcast that he has. I have learned more from him than I think anything that I've read. Make sure you check out the EM Bingo Pinball Podcast. You will not at all be disappointed. They are great resources for anyone who's trying to do anything with bingo pinball machines. So a shout out to those guys for all the help that they do and for the work that they've done in keeping this awesome hobby alive.